Use code Incon for 10% off your G Fuel action and help support the Twitchiest community by using that link down below in the description. Hello everybody, we are here with your raw guide. So we'll be starting off pretty standard here, Mage's Blessing. Going into our tier 1 for Doom Orb with a couple of health potions, 3 mana pots, and our purification beads. Ra right now is my favorite mid laner in this current build predicament that we're in. He's got great clear, he's got great farm. I find that he is great at all levels of play as well, and let's be honest, Ra is just straight up fun. So we are going to be starting off with our 1. This is the ability that we will grab at level 1 and the ability that we will max out first. Celestial Beam. Ra summons a moving beam of light from the sky, and this is going to be a big fat line damage effect, and it does have a travel time, so it doesn't do the damage in that line all at once. It does have to travel from next to you to all the way down the line, and it's a fairly slow travel time compared to some other things in Smite. But it does also have a pretty low cooldown, and that is also nice. It's only got a 10-second cooldown at level 1. For Ra's passive, he has a very nice passive, and it's going to be very important to us because Ra does not have a traditional getaway skill. Every time we use an ability, you can see another one of these lights start to glow. What that glow means is that I am gaining additional movement speed. That additional movement speed is 6% per stack, and it can stack up to 3 times. And every time I use an ability, it will go ahead and refresh that duration that the bonus movement speed is on me. This is extremely useful for Ra. And you want to keep it on you as much as humanly possible. Our second ability that we grabbed is our 3. This is also the ability we're going to max out second after a Volthy, of course. This is going to be our heal, and this ability does a lot of stuff. So this is traditionally used as a heal, but it also does damage. Not only is it a heal and a damage, it also gives protections to those within the area, both yourself and allies, as well as physical and magical power to allies and yourself as well. So it is a heal, a damage, a power buff, and a protection buff all at once. So you can see I throw down the heal, and then if I go inside of it, you can watch all of my stats go up while I am inside of this. This ability provides so much, it is ridiculous.
Completed.
At level 3, I grabbed my 2. You can grab a second point in your 1. It just depends on how safe you want to be. This ability is going to have a small channel time around us. Then we will do damage in an area around our character. That damage on top of it, you can see that area of effect. Not only is it going to do damage within that area, it is also going to blind targets that are facing Ra. So if you're looking at Ra while this ability goes off, you will be blinded. What that means in Smite is basically they cover your monitor with a bunch of super bright white light so you can't see anything. And it is also a slow regardless. So it does damage. It can potentially blind if they're looking at you, and no matter what, it's gonna provide that nice slow. I'm gonna provide that nice getting Sillid right here too. And that slow is going to be dependent on how long they are inside. So the slow on the Ra 2 works pretty weird. So the slow stack, basically, it's a stacking slow every 0.5 seconds on enemies near you. And so this can proc up to 4 times, and that slow is 5% per stack, which is very different than how a lot of other slows work. So it just kind of is slowly applying that to you. And on top of that, the most recent change to this ability is that also when you use it, you will become cleansed of other slows that are on you, as well as slow immune for 0.6 seconds. So if I were to get slowed by somebody on the enemy team, maybe I get like an RDO3 on me, I can proc that too, and I will be cleansed of any slows on me. It's very nice. It basically works like a Mercury 2. Finally, our ultimate, the big fat beamy boy himself. This is an extremely long line-based ability, and unlike our one, it will do the damage in the entire area all at the same time. So where our one has a travel time, our ultimate will do that damage big burst all at once, but it does have like a half a second charge time where you play through an animation. You are, wow, CC immune during that animation. So you don't have to be worried about getting CC'd out of it, but it does make a large sound, and enemies will know very clearly that you are using it. And that is our Ra kit. So Ra's pretty standard on his leveling. You're gonna grab your ulti whenever you can. 4, 1, 3, 2. We level up our one first for our regular abilities, because this is just our main lane clear. Nothing crazy there. Then we level up. Then we level up the heal, because the heal has some really, really nice increases on it. Man, they are low. Oh my goodness, they are so low. They're gonna die. Woo, look at that HP. That's so unfortunate. So not only on the heal are you gonna increase the actual healing effect, you're also gonna increase that damage that it does. You're also going to increase the protections and the power and just absolutely everything on this ability. And then finally you get your 2, because all you're gonna get from your 2 is a little bit more damage, so you're not missing out on anything too crucial.
An enemy has been slain.
For your standard combination on Ra, he doesn't really have so much a combination of abilities, so much as you're mostly looking to poke people with your one. You want to be poking people with your one kind of over and over and over again. And then once they get into threshold, you're looking to smack them with that ultimate. Now, if you're going to go for a full ability commit on somebody, what you will do then is you will pop your 2 in order to get that started. So that way, hopefully it goes off once you're in range of somebody. So you'll start your 2. You'll be running right up to them. The second you get as much slow on them as you are comfortable with to land your 1, then you will throw down your 1 for the follow-up damage. Standardly keeping your 3 as a defensive ability to throw down on yourself if you get reverse ganked, if you started to get aggressed upon, so you can use it for the heal and bonus protections, and then using your ultimate if they try to dash away, try to get away in some sort, so you can finish off the kill. Keep in mind for Ra that most of his abilities also go through walls. So your only ability that's really not going to go through walls is going to be your 2, but your 1 beam will go over walls, your ulti will go over walls. You can throw your heal over walls. In fact, you can throw your heal inside of a wall if you really want to. A lot of abilities in Smite won't even let you throw down. Won't even let you throw down an ability in a wall, but you can throw Ra heal down the wall. And so he is very good at fighting people from a distance with his 1 and his ultimate. For our build here at the start, pretty standard. We did our Mage's Blessing into our cooldown boots. This is a pretty irregular start for all mid-mages right now, with a few exceptions. And then we're going to go right into our Doom Orb. So because we don't have any true getaway skill, all we have is our
Enemy missing left.
movement speed to help us get away from our passive. And then, of course, we can sit inside of our own 3, which is also its own form of kind of defense. But what we're going to do is we're going to pair up our passive with the Doom Orb. So we're going to put movement speed on our movement speed to help us get away from people even more, especially some of these melee characters like a Urlay. Ra is very good at farming the waves right now. His beam will, for the most part, clear the entire wave. Once you get it up to that max level, which means you can kind of just run around into the jungle, grab some more farm while you're waiting for the waves to come back. You should always be maximizing your farm by doing a wave and then into the jungle, then do a wave and then into the jungle. Make sure you're keeping those camps on lock as much as you can. I'm going to throw down a heal in the backline for our set. And then come up and clear the mid wave. Erlang blink is down. I'm going to go ahead and pop a preemptive bead just so I can get out of any Erlang combos that are coming my way. Still a popular ulti, so I'm going to ulti on him immediately because I know that he is going to be standing still and unable to get out of my ultimate because mine casts faster than his. Also during all of this, I saw that the Oracle spawned, so I'm going to go clear this mid wave, and then I'm going to walk myself over towards these Oracle Harpies. Now to make sure I don't miss out on any farm, I'm going to back up, grab the Oracles, grab the midwave, back up, get a full Doom Orb, and a Sentry Ward. For our matchups on Ra, Ra doesn't like two things in particular. He doesn't like speedy gods that are able to keep up with him. Think about gods like Arachne, who basically no matter what you can't kind of run away from. Think about somebody like a Guan Yu. Guan Yu is great against Ra, and it might not be super clear at first, but Guan Yu's ultimate is detrimental to a Ra because there's no way for Ra to outrun it. Plus, it's gonna CC you at the very end of it as well. So even if you try to use your 2 to immune the slows that the Guan Yu attacks are gonna provide on you, you can't do anything about the stun unless you want to use your ultimate in a defensive manner, which is really a bummer. So you got to be careful about gods that can chase you down regardless of how much movement speed that you have. And then, of course, you got to watch out for anti-heal. A big part of Ra's kit is that he can provide a lot of sustain to the team around things like Gold Fury, objectives, towers, phoenixes, team fighting in general. And so if you're going against gods like Sobek, like Surkat, Odin, anybody that has a lot of anti-heal built into their kit where they don't even necessarily need to build anti-heal items, then that is really detrimental for a Ra as you get into the team fight stage. There's a whole lot of people over here in left lane. I'm just going to be looking towards the Scylla right now, get some damage on him. That is still his dash. Kind of just going to wait to look for an ulti over the wall. But right now, I'm actually just going to be able to go in on Guan and hit him with a 2-1 combo. We hit him with a slow. Our Mori turned into me. That's very nice. I'm saving my ulti right now, trying to wait for somebody to be in a like more clear ultimate spot. And I should not be able to hit that because we whipped it to the right. That was actually a good juke there from Ranger. I'm going to head all the way around the back right here. See if I can't pick somebody out. We got all 5 people alive. They're running away. We should go for the Gold Fury. That is Hachi ult down right there. 2 dead. I've got my Ra heals, so I can actually tank this pretty well. Normally a mage wouldn't be able to tank the Gold Fury very effectively. But because I am a Ra, I can. Our whole team did actually back, which is kind of awkward. After typically you get a win in the team fight. We just need to back up now. After you get a win in a team fight like that, where nobody on your team is actually dying, when you have a Ra, you have to make sure that you're sticking around, as F. used to say, for the stuff after the stuff. Because you've got the sustain built in on the Ra, it means that times where maybe you would typically back and heal up, with a Ra, you don't do that. If you win that team fight, you need to be immediately looking for objectives in order to maximize the efficiency of Ra. Otherwise, you're losing out on one of the biggest things that he provides to the team, which is his heal. So in like a ranked match, we would have actually had that Gold Fury right there because the players would have been a little bit more heads up about it. Speaking of heads up, about to get my head blown up by a Guan Yu.
Your middle tower is under attack.
So now we're just chilling back. We got level 12. We can go ahead and get our Aegis online. So let's back up, get ourselves that. Against this team, they're going to be very tanky, and they also have a lot of healing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a Karen's Coin Karen's Coin is going to give me a little bit more movement speed as I start to get this stacked up, as well as percent pen. They've got a Guan Yu, Erlang, RDO, so 3 gods that can potentially be tanky to hybrid. And then after I get my Karen's Coin, I'm going to get a 4th item, Divine Ruin, to make sure that as this Guan Yu gets a little bit stronger, starts ranking up his heal, that I've got the anti-heal for that. And as the RDO and the Erlang start getting themselves more to these team fights as well, we'll have the anti-heal online for them.
Come and get some.
Speak of the devil. Moving ourselves, trying to position for this next team fight. That is a very low Hachi. Nike's going to be able to get the kill. I'm throwing down a heal for my team. That is going to be a dead Guan Yu. We need to be a little bit careful for a full Scylla combo, but we've got the heal going on. Everybody feeling a little bit more, I think, confident this time. Now that we've got 4 people left alive, they've got a little bit more HP. We should be able to start this Gold Fury as a team. Throwing down a heal for myself and Nike, and those that are still staying around the Gold Fury. RDO had made the rotation over towards the Gold Fury. You're going to use my ultimate as secure. And there we go. That's how you want to do your objectives after your team fight. That's how you're looking to do it right there. Go right to the objective. Go grab it. You're going to be totally fine. For objective secure on Rot, not only do you have your ultimate for secure, but you can also combine it with your 1. So instead of just ulting and getting that big burst damage, you can combine it kind of like you do on some other gods, like say a Scylla with her Crush. Gonna throw down a little heal for my set just to get that on him. Looking towards the Erlang. That is his ultimate down on Erlang. This is actually good gank potential, so we should be able to turn this fight pretty hard. Scylla's actually low middle. I'm gonna go clear this mid wave, get a bunch of Doom Orb stacks, start slowing the Scylla, throwing down a heal on top of myself. There's a Guan Yu coming through. That is okay. Not gonna use my ulti right here. I'm gonna save it for now. Got my heal up in 3 seconds. I actually just got body blocked by Morgan Decoy. That's kind of hilarious. I'm gonna throw down a deep heal for us in between these waves. That's very aggressive from our Wukong. But we're gonna be all right after this because he does have his ultimate up. So I want to go back and talk about the objective secure. We should go look at the portal. Once again, we're a little bit low, right? Maybe standardly you don't go for the objective, but here or not, you go for that objective because we can start it right on up because I've got the heals. So instead of just ulting for a secure, if you've got your 1 up as well, what you can do is you can use your 1, start your 1 from about this distance. This is usually what you're going to do for Fire Giant. Start your 1 here and then go right into your ultimate, and your 1 should be hitting right about at the same time that your ultimate is going to be hitting. So you're going to get that beam damage, which is going to easily be somewhere near 600, 700, 800 more on the Fire Giant, combined with your ultimate damage, which could very well be over 1000 damage. And all of a sudden you go from like a 1k secure on the Fire Giant to maybe like a 1500 damage secure on the Fire Giant, and it'll just help you get even more of them. You can of course do that on the Gold Fury or the Pyromancer or anything that you want to, but the time that it's going to be simply most important is going to be on the Fire Giant because it's the most important objective. Now we're going to back up, get our Karen's Coin, start to work on that Divine Ruin. You can start to see in these team fights a little bit more healing happening. So that's our indicator, like, hey, need to make sure I get that anti-heal online. With Raw on the anti-heal as well, it's also pretty nice to proc it on multiple people. Your beam goes through people, right? So it's not that hard for it to proc on people. But more importantly, your heal is actually a really efficient procer of Divine Ruin because it basically goes down instantly on top of a target. You can start off a fight and just go boop, and then instantly get that Divine Ruin proc on somebody for that 8-second timer and make sure that they basically miss out on the heals during that fight. Now be a little bit careful using your heal aggressively, of course, but especially if your team is moving in and you're going to be fighting aggressively anyway, you might throw down your heal on your melee characters and give them a heal on top of the anti-heal that you are providing. Remember that your raw heal will also heal minions, so if you want to use it for pushing towers. You can throw it right on down. Most importantly, try to keep that big minion alive. He is the tankiest and will be able to tank those towers the longest. So if you can give him a little bit of extra protections, a little bit of extra love, you will have a much easier time attacking those towers. Throwing down to heal as well over here on the tier 2 tower. You don't even necessarily need creeps for shoving towers with Ra, because he does have the heal that he can provide that also gives those bonus protections. That means that you can oftentimes, even fairly early in the game, go for those Ra towers, just utilizing your heal and one of your tankier gods in order to take it down. You won't, of course, have those backdoor protections to help you out, but the whole point is that you don't really end up needing them because you can kill the tower fast enough and tank it long enough. Gold Fury is spawning, so we need to back up, get some wards out, and our Divine Ruin. Get some wards. I'm going to go into a late game Warlock staff this game. So normally I would like to get Warlocks a little bit earlier, preferably third item. But this game, I could see how tanky their team was going to be. So instead of getting the earlier Warlocks, I got the Karen's Coin and then the Divine Ruin. Sometimes that's just what you got to do. Got to mix up your build on the fly for the compositions that you are facing. And so now I'm going to get a Warlocks here at the end of the game. I don't mind grabbing a Warlocks at the end of the game on Ra, because one, Ra is super efficient at stacking items because of how good his one is for clearing. Two, it is also going to give me this game an additional 10% pen. Reminder that Warlock Slash has pen on it. So that additional 10% pen against this team that has the extra tankiness, I am super down for. No problemo. We should now move ourselves over towards the Fire Giant here at the 21-minute marker. We got ourselves a nice 10k lead. That's a pretty thick lead for at this point in the game. So even though we don't have that much of a kill lead, we are really far ahead in terms of XP. You can see I've got a 2-level lead on Scylla. Our solo laner has got quite a few levels. Everybody pretty much got levels on their opponents right now. Throwing down a heal right on the Fire Giant to make sure my team can tank it on up. And now we're getting ready for our secure. So we're going to throw down our 1 and our ulti. Those are going to hit at about the same time. Bada bing, bada boom. We secure the Fire Giant.
Your left tower has right lane.
Now, normally you would want to shove the farthest lane away from the Fire Giant. So that way, if you get a Phoenix, you've got the fire creeps the farthest away from the next Fire Giant would spawn. But in this game, we still have a tier 2 tower alive over in the solo lane. You want to make sure generally that all of the towers are down before you start shoving into Phoenixes. That's because for every additional tower, for every additional Phoenix that is alive, the Titan has additional HP. So if you get yourself into a situation where you're shoving a Phoenix and then you think you can go for the end of the game, well, it would be a shame if he lives with 500 HP because you forgot to kill that last tier 2 tower over in that lane that you didn't want to push. Got my heal down in the creeps right now. Just trying to keep them alive for the backdoor protections. Just using my 1 for a bunch of poke. I got my beads and my eggs up, so I'm not super concerned about their damage in the backline right now. I am concerned about Scylla's damage pretty much at all times, so I got to be careful off of that. Guan Yu's just trying to keep us off his backline. Got to try to ulti that Guan Yu on the side. We're going to be able to get it off. Throwing down another heal in the backline for me and my squishy friends. Throwing down a beam, trying to get the hot sheet. Just barely going to miss there. RDO has used her dash, so I'm going to go charge him with my slow. We're going to be able to get the Erlang there as well. Now, we got a couple of people low. We don't got to be super crazy aggressive right here. What we can do is we can just throw down a heal right inside this Titan room, and we can start using this heal to start taking out the Titan. Now, you got to be careful for something like a AoE inside of that raw heal. You saw the Scylla root come down and hit 3 people, but that's totally fine. We're just going to be able to sustain through this. Bada bing, bada boom, and we're going to be able to go through and end the game. So, raw heal is basically what makes him so strong. Like, yeah, his damage is great on his beams and his ultimates and stuff, but the raw heal, when utilized properly, is going to let you push the game at a pace that very few other characters can push the game at. When you get low in your HP, if you have a Ra on your team, if you've won a team fight, even if you only won the team fight by a little, You can still push for objectives. Okay, you're down to a quarter HP, doesn't matter, we're still doing the Gold Fury. Okay, we lost one guy, but we got a couple low, doesn't matter, we're still gonna go do the Pyromancer. Okay, we're near the Phoenix line, we're getting a little bit worried, doesn't matter, we've got the heals, we can back up. You can always continue the push. You do not have to reset very often with Raw, which is why you can keep that level of aggression going and going. And if you're using it properly, your healing will oftentimes be next to your player damage. So this game we had 12k player damage, but we also had 9k player healing because we're always trying to use that heal to push objectives. Those objectives let you get those big gold leads, which lets you push into that Titan room extra early. So for finishing up that build, we would have been grabbing ourselves a Warlock Sash, like I said, preferably grabbing that earlier in the game, but we had to mix up the build for their tankier gods. After that Warlock Sash, I would have gone into a Rod of Tahuti. Reminder that Rod of Tahuti works both offensively for your damage abilities and defensively for your heals when your teammates are below 50% HP, making Rod of Tahuti an amazing item for Rot. Finally, selling our boots, getting some sort of CDR item. Maybe it's a Chronos Pendant, maybe it's a defensive Mantle of Discord, maybe it's a Soul Gem. Doesn't really matter, just something that's got some CDR on it, so when combined with our red pot, we've got 20 to 30%ish CDR on our Raw as well, guys. And that is your Raw guide.